Welcome to Half a Point, the podcast that saw Carlton drop to 0 and 3 straight up. They're 0 and 3 against the spread as well, mate. I told you last week you were stepping into a trap, but I guess I wasn't brave enough to jump on the dogs myself. But yeah, Carlton fall to 0 and 3. No one really saw that coming. We'll break it all down. We'll break down all of round three and we'll give our best bets for round four. To help me break it down, I am joined by my co-host, Carlton superfan, Cuss. Mate, how you going?
Yeah, look, I've been better. A rough couple of weeks for me, but yeah, only upwards from here, eh?
At least you didn't put your hair color on the line, like some other podcasts. That was pretty funny. All right. So if you're new to the channel, please leave a like on this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And we're also active on TikTok, Instagram, and X as well. So give us a follow on those. And just a reminder to please gamble responsibly. All right, Cuz, we'll jump into round three. Um, Chalk's been doing pretty well, mate. Chalk went like 1 and 7 straight up favorites went. Underdogs went. So Essendon was the only team that actually won outright as underdogs. 4 and 4 against the spread, so pretty even there. But Chalk's having a pretty good week, so I feel like we're headed towards a little bit of regression here. Of course, we'll get into our picks after we break down round three, but I just feel like the public's going to get hammered this week. Um, but yeah, we'll jump into the round three game. So starting off with Essendon, Port Adelaide, mate, we called it here at half a
Yeah.
point. Both of us were on the Bombers. Break it down for us.
Yeah, it was pretty good effort from both teams really. I think in that last quarter, Essendon was just able to blitz away, kept Port Adelaide to 1 goal. So yeah, pretty good performance from Essendon. I liked what I saw. And yeah, did well to win outright as well.
Such a frustrating watch. Like if
Yeah,
if
oh,
they
yeah.
did it. If they didn't cover, mate, I'd be absolutely livid. Like they were butchering opportunities left, right, and center. They should have won that by 30 plus points, honestly.
Yeah.
Port just did not show up. They were just, but yeah, they kept Port in the game. They should have won by way more. I'm glad we
Yeah.
got the win and the cover in the end, but man, it was a tough watch.
I think
Um,
overall, just low, like so many like clangers. It was just tough to watch. Like, did
just
not enjoy that at all.
just terrible primetime footy.
Yeah.
But the only underdog that won, so credit to
Mm.
them. Carlton, Western Bulldogs. What a game, mate! It was one of the games of the round. Like I really enjoyed watching this. Like the Bulldogs are dominating play from the first quarter onwards. I know you guys got off to a really hot start, but the Dogs are just the better team. You could tell on the day. And then yeah, came to fruition at the end there. You guys are getting hammered in the second halves here. Yeah, the Dogs prevail by 8 points. You were covering all games, so pretty unlucky not to get the 2.5 point cover. If they
Yeah.
you could have got a backdoor right at the end there if Carlton scored a goal, but. I feel like the Dogs were probably the right side. Like, if you're down by that many points and you still manage to cover, you're probably on the right side there. Pretty unlucky though for you, I'd say. Yeah, what were your takeaways from that game?
Disappointment, frustration, mate. Anything negative?
Yeah, mate. Pretty tough to be a Carlton
Yeah.
supporter right now. I'm
Yeah.
glad I wasn't one of those pundits that tipped them to win the premiership or anything. No, I'm kidding. I've still got that premiership. Mate, I told you last week, right? I hope Carlton's gonna
Yeah,
go on
you
three,
did.
and I'm gonna jump on
You did call it.
the
You did call it.
And guess what I did? I jumped on the premiership odds. They're at 29 bucks, mate. Jump on it, mate. This is the bottom for Carlton. Um, Melbourne, Gold Coast. Yeah, look, pretty bad pick from me here. Yeah, did you want to break it down?
Yeah, I think we both went with Melbourne here, expecting them to cover. As the home dog. But she's Gold Coast were all over them in the contest. Just they had no hope. It honestly felt like they didn't even get a touch of the ball. Gold Coast were just all over them, and then in the third quarter, absolutely demolished them. So yeah, it was pretty disappointing from Melbourne all up.
Yeah, dead on arrival pick that one. I'm never going to apologize for going with the home dog there. So, yeah. St Kilda Richmond, St Kilda won and covered as favourites. Yeah, they Richmond were in it in the first half, but St Kilda pulled away in the second half. Yeah, congrats to them. Moving on to the Hawks Giants. Windy affair. Did you want to break it down?
Yeah, mate. How windy was that? They just kicked it straight at the goals and it would go a completely different direction.
Yeah.
But really hot start from GWS. I thought it was game over from there. But Hawks being the quality team that they are right now, they just came back in that second quarter and it was even play from there. And then yeah, we're just able to stay on top of it for the rest of the game and won by 12 points, which means that GWS did end up covering.
Half a point, mate. It was pretty funny. I had a few 11.5 tickets as well, which didn't cash, but mate, that's what we say. Get the best of the number, shop around.
Yeah.
We've had one like almost every round.
Yeah, we
Like I
have.
feel
Yeah.
like yeah, we've it's been coming up more than we saw last year. But mate, you should have seen the smirk on my face when the Giants were up by 40. I just posted the TikTok where I said, "Oh yeah, Giants gonna win outright." Man, I was like, "Oh man, I'm the smartest guy in the world." And
Yeah.
then yeah, the Hawks just came all the way back, mate. These Hawks team's serious.
Yeah.
But I said last week the market's gonna catch up to them, and they did just by half a point.
Yeah.
But yeah, glad we got the cover. I'd been really shot. I'd be really shattered if we didn't get the cover there.
Mm.
Lions, Cats again. I thought I was the smartest guy in the world going with the Cats. And then they blew a lead as well. Once
Yeah.
again, I'm happy we got the cover. Uh, for both those games, like for a second or two there, like we weren't covering. The underdog wasn't covering for a second
Mm.
in the fourth quarter there. We needed a couple of back doors, but I think we deserved both those games to cover. Yeah, Brisbane at the Gabba as favorites continue not to cover. They win these games, but they never cover. This is a trend we saw last year. We're all over it this year as well. And in both the games they played at the Gabba, they haven't covered. So
Yeah.
it's something we'll keep an eye on as we go on. Crows North, mate. Unlucky not to cover this one.
Yeah, I feel like it was North Melbourne did well to sort of fight back. They just didn't give up, and I think that's probably where the experience of some of those players that they brought in the off season come to play. Yeah, so unlucky. I think a few opportunities went missing there in that last quarter, but yeah, you can't cover every game, I guess.
Yeah, go either way. Go either way game there. West Coast, Fremantle. Yeah, the Eagles don't cover, but I don't think it was a terrible pick. Like they played with effort and intensity. They were just outclassed. Yeah, Fremantle 2 on the day. I won't call them Ford Mantle today. They deserve to be called by the real name just because they got the W. But yeah, again, not going to apologize for picking such a big dog in a derby like that. So I go 3-2, so my streak continues. Still didn't have back-to-back winning weeks. You had a shocker. You went 1-4.
Shocker, yeah.
But it's all right. Time to bounce back now. So I'm 8-7 ATS, and you're 7-8.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, just around 500 for both of us. But I think yeah, this is the week to get it rolling.
Yep.
All right, let's jump into round four here. Um, As I said at the top here, like I feel like the public is sort of in for a shocking week here. Like, mate, they've been filling up on these favorites, just winning these games outright. I just feel like a little bit of regression's due. Yeah, usually we see a lot more upsets than we have been seeing. Obviously, we started with a big upset, so I feel like that's skewing the mood a little bit. But um, yeah, um, we'll see what happens this week. But
Mm.
starting off with the half a point grand final here, Collingwood
Jeez.
versus Carlton. Carlton's 0-3. Collingwood off a bye with 2-1. Thursday night footy at the MCG once again. A Carlton Collingwood prime time game. Going to be packed crowd at the MCG. Last time they played, Carlton were 10.5 point favourites and Collingwood ended up winning by 3. The Mitch McGovern kick after the siren, which was nowhere near. We
Yep.
went 2-0 against you guys last year. And yeah, we'll see what happens this time around. The line is Collingwood minus 12.5. Cass, where you going?
Well, you were bang on last week. Where you said Carlton's gonna go 0-3. I didn't want to believe it. That's what happened. I think usually with these sort of games, Carlton, Collingwood, Essendon as well. I think it's hard to go against the underdog. They always, I think more often than not, they're going to play a close game of footy. And yeah, I'm not sure if Carlton would be in like my 5 just because they've hurt me quite a bit. But yeah, I'm siding towards Carlton here just because it is a big line for a game that should be relatively close. And Carlton is just due to bounce back. It has to happen. And I think against Collingwood would just be the perfect story as well. But yeah, I just lacking so much confidence in my team right now.
Yeah, perfect story to go to 1-3, mate. Well done. Um, yeah, mate. What happened to never be on Carlton ever again if they don't cover
Hey,
last week, man?
look, man, I don't know, I know. It's a long week.
Mate, give me Carlton plus 12.5 and give me Carlton to win this game outright. I'm bottom of the market for Carlton here. I was off them last week. I'm back on them this week. Just like you said, these derby games, you want to take the dog. As I said, in these matchups last year, Collingwood was the dog in both games and they covered both games as well.
Yeah,
Yeah, just playing the trends here. These games are always closer than you think. Carlton is yeah, gonna be they're playing for their season here. So
yeah,
yeah, I feel like they're gonna come and play with intensity. Um, I don't know if they win this game. I'm going to tip them to win, but I don't know if they win this game. Collingwood's pretty good situationally.
mm,
So yeah, I wouldn't be putting all my eggs in the money line basket, but I'm definitely taking the 12.5. I saw a couple 13.5s out there as well, but it came right back down to 12.5. So this one hasn't really moved too much. So
yeah.
yeah, give me Carlton plus 12.5. It's definitely going to be part of my five. Moving on to the Cats versus Melbourne. Friday night at GMHBA. Last time they played Geelong were 2.5 point favourites at the MCG, but Melbourne ended up winning as dogs. This time around, Geelong are 28.5 point favourites at home. This one's, I think, opened around 24.5. So all the money's been coming in on Geelong. Um, but give me Melbourne plus 28.5 here. Again, bottom of the market for Melbourne. Um, this team's been slaughtered in the media this week. They've been the headline story. You're going to have a game where they play with a lot of intensity. I'm still holding my hope out just because we saw round one. They went toe to toe with the Giants. The Giants are a legit team. I'm still holding on to that. Maybe Gold Coast is really good, and maybe North Melbourne are way better than we think. I know Geelong lost last week, so you'd expect a little bit of a bounce back. They're coming off back-to-back losses, so Geelong really need this win. I don't know. We've seen weirder things happen than Melbourne not winning this game, so I might throw a little bit on their money line as well. We've seen weirder things happen, but yeah, I'm definitely taking the 28.5 here. Yeah, what do you think?
Yep, give me Melbourne as well. I think both teams equally disappointed from last week's result. Like we saw Geelong just fighting and fighting for that to try and get that win, but they gave it their all. Not sure if that'll maybe they'll be a bit depleted this week, but yeah, Melbourne are just going to be so disappointed after the past 2 weeks. They should bounce back here. I wouldn't necessarily guarantee a win, but I think they'd easily cover this line.
Yeah, love it. Moving on to a Saturday afternoon blockbuster, Gold Coast versus the Crows. Yeah, as I said, Saturday afternoon at People's First. Last time they played, I think might have been like round one or something last year. Gold Coast were 4.5 point favorites, and they ended up winning by 6. They were up big that game, and then Adelaide kicked a bunch of goals at the end, but Gold Coast still ended up covering. I think we were both on Gold Coast that game, if I remember correctly. Yeah, this time around, Gold Coast are actually the same line. It's the Gold Coast are 4.5 point favorites again at home. Where are you going with this one?
I think Gold Coast just they had a huge win last week and everything went right for them that game. And we know about their away record. They sort of proved that wrong. And everyone's just been jumping on like the hype that Gold Coast had before the season started. But yeah, I think this will also be the first big test for Adelaide. If you're like comparing to who they've versed in the past few weeks. But yeah, I think. Yeah, it's a tough one. I think Gold Coast are going to have to change up their defensive formation with just how strong the Adelaide forward line is. But yeah, I'm gonna side with Adelaide here. But look, I don't have much confidence in this pick. It's I think it's one of those ones that I think it could sway during the week, but it'll probably just be left out of my five altogether.
Yeah, mate, very fair. This was in my five all week long.
Yeah.
It opened around a pick, and I jumped on the Suns straight away. Um, and then yeah, it came up to two, 3.5, and I jumped on the 2.5, jumped on the 3.5. I even took a little bite out of the 4.5 as well. But then as I've sort of gone throughout the week, I've just been a little bit scared of this Adelaide team. Like I circled this in the preseason as a letdown spot for Adelaide, but they've been blowing these teams out. So it's not even like they're coming off like a big win against like a rival team or anything like that. They've just been cruising. So yeah, I just respect this Adelaide team too much to go against them. I was going to hammer them. I was going to hammer the Suns this week, but I don't know. As I go throughout the week, I'm becoming a
Yeah.
little less sure. But
Bit of a danger spot. Yeah.
yeah, I'm on Adelaide. I'm sorry, I'm on the Suns. I don't know if it'll be part of my five. You might sneak in,
Mm.
but yeah, not too sure here.
Yeah.
Moving on to Richmond, Brisbane Saturday twilight game at the MCG. Last time they played, Brisbane were 45.5 point favorites and won by 119 at the Gabba.
Yeah.
I was on Richmond that game, and yeah, got slaughtered. This time around, Richmond are 45.5 point dogs at home. Um, Give me Richmond plus 45.5 here. Huge number. Richmond haven't covered for the last two games. But there you can see with this Richmond team, man, there's glimpses. There's glimpses every week. Brisbane, really sleepy starters. I definitely jump on Richmond first half here, 22.5. I think that's a good bet to make. But in for the sake of the contest, give me, yeah, Richmond plus 45.5 here. Home dog. I think it's maybe their first home game. I don't know if the Carlton one counted as a home game. Um, yeah, as I said, Brisbane haven't really woken up yet because they've been winning. Yeah, I'm just gonna fade this Brisbane team. Getting a lot of points here. I'm hoping that they cover. Yeah, what do you think?
Yeah. I think um they absolutely tore them up last time. But I think Brisbane just coming off such a big win from last week, they gave it their all to maintain that lead and maintain the win. So I think, yeah, I think Richmond will cover here. They've got the home ground advantage as well. First time Brisbane's back at the MCG since they won it all. So yeah, I'm going with Richmond here. Simply just because I think they've just given it their all last week and they're going to be a bit depleted this week. And Richmond have just a bit of a bounce back spot from where they've been past couple of weeks. So yeah.
Yeah, exactly. They got embarrassed a little bit last week in the second half, so you're hoping for a little bit of effort. Yeah, the worst thing with these is that like the bad team's like playing competitively in the first half, and then like the good team just wakes up, and
Yeah.
then you end up getting blown out. Whereas you'd rather like Brisbane get off to a pretty good start and then backdoor with Richmond.
Mm,
But yeah, there's lots of ways that these games play out. But yeah, hoping 44.5 is a big number, so going to take the points here.
yeah.
Moving on to North Melbourne, Sydney, Saturday night at Marvel. Last time they played, Sydney were 47.5 point favorites at home and covered. Um, this time around, North Melbourne are 10.5 point dogs at home. Where are you going?
Yeah, I think this North Melbourne side just have a bit of fight back in them, like I said before. Now they brought in a bit of experienced players, you can sort of see that come to fruition. I don't expect a win here, but they did well to cover last week, and they never really gave up until the final siren, and that's when they were more than 35 points down. So I feel like with a closer game, they'll definitely be in it, and I think they'll cover here.
Give me North Melbourne plus 10.5 and give me North Melbourne to win outright against the Swans. I love North Melbourne in this spot.
Yeah.
Look, this one's one you gotta stomach a little bit. It's a tough pick to make because that number's so small, but it's small for a reason. Really good spot here for North. Sydney are frauds. I've been saying it all year. I don't rate the Sydney side at all. They're really good as away favourites last year. they're going to cut. They were 6-1 again as away
Mm.
favorites last year. That's going to regress. Yeah, and I feel like they lose out right here. This North Melbourne team is a lot better than people perceive. Yeah, they got done last week by Adelaide, but Adelaide's really good as well. We've been saying that as well. So yeah, give me the Kangaroos here.
Yep.
Moving on to the Giants and the Eagles Sunday afternoon game at NG. Last time they played, the Giants were 46.5 point favorites and won by 65 at Optus. This time around, they're 57.5 point favorites at home. I think that the Giants are the side here. This number opened in like the 40s and it's been just shooting up all week.
Yeah.
It's not going to be part of my five because the last time I laid such a huge number with the Eagles, Eagles covered. So I'm going to stay away from it. But yeah, I think the Giants are the side. How about you?
Yeah, it's a massive line. I guess GWS are back at home. I think, and there's lots of behind the scenes with Oscar Allen as well, meeting up with Sam Mitchell. So if that's what
Mm,
one of your leaders are doing 3, 4 weeks into the season, mate, I don't know what sort of effort you can really expect from like the rest of the team, especially if they're young as well. So yeah, if I was to pick a team here, I'd probably go GWS. But yeah, I'm not entirely sure if I'm gonna put this in my five.
yeah, fair enough. Moving on to Port Adelaide versus St Kilda, Sunday afternoon game at the Adelaide Oval. Last time they played, St Kilda were 3.5 point favourites and ended up losing to Port at Marvel. I was on the Saints that game. Pretty bad loss. This time around, Port Adelaide are 12.5 point favourites at home. Where are you going with this one?
Look, mate, this is just a game I don't care about. I'm probably not even going to watch it. Might tune into the highlights, but I just don't have a read on this game. I think it's two sort of unpredictable teams, maybe, but yeah, I don't know. If I was to pick a side here, I'd probably go with Ross Lions Saints, but yeah, I don't know. I'm just going to stay away from this one completely.
Mate, my favorite pick of the week, easiest pick of the week. Give me St Kilda plus 12.5 and give me St Kilda to beat Port Adelaide. Sorry, fraud Adelaide. Straight up here, mate. St Kilda is a spot here. Mate, we talk about it every week. Ross Lyon as an underdog. I'll read out the stats. Last year, the Saints were 8-3 against the spread as underdogs and 5-2 as away dogs. This is the perfect spot to jump on the Saints here. I know, Port. It's a little bit of a bounce back spot, and the Saints are coming off a huge win. I know I'm not getting a great number. This open around the mid-teens, but I think all the money's coming in on the Saints, and for a good reason. This St Kilda team is actually a lot better than what people perceive. They're
Yeah.
so well coached. I'm definitely taking the points here. We saw this same matchup last year as well at the Adelaide Oval. I think the line was 20.5, and Port won by 10. So, yeah, even if Port win, I expect the Saints to cover here. I'm definitely taking the points. I'm hammering this on. I saw a couple 13s. But it's sort of yeah, hovering between 11 and 13. Get the best of the number, as we've seen in the last few rounds. It's become important, but yeah, I expect them to win outright here. Love the Saints in this spot. Yeah, and yeah, fraud Adelaide are a bottom four side in my opinion. Yeah, they suck. All right. Moving on to the final game of the round, Fremantle Western Bulldogs Sunday 4:40 at Optus. The Western team on that last Sunday game.
Yep.
The last time they played, the Dogs are 4.5 point favorites at Marvel, and they ended up blowing them out by 67 points. This time around, the Dockers are 8.5 point favorites at home. Stay away from me. I really, really, really wanted to be on the Bulldogs here, but I just feel like it could be a little bit of a letdown spot for them. So I'm staying away from it. I also feel like I always get this game wrong. Like when the Dogs go over to Perth and play the Dockers, I feel like I always get that pick wrong. The last few years, so I'm gonna stay away from it this time round. Yeah. Do you have a read on this?
It's a stay away from me as well. If I was to pick a side, I'd go with the Dogs simply just because, I don't know. I feel like they're playing a good brand of footy. And I think they have what it takes to beat Freo here. I think obviously Freo coming off a big win from last week in the derby. Yeah, I'd probably go with Bulldogs, but yeah, not too strong of a read on this one.
Yep, fair enough. Tough one, I'd
Yeah.
say. All right. That brings to an end our round four picks. So, do you want to run us through your potential five?
Yep. So I've got Melbourne, Richmond, North, and Adelaide, and then I might squeeze in Carlton. But yeah, what about you?
Pretty similar to mine then. Definitely Carlton, definitely Melbourne, um, definitely North Melbourne, definitely St Kilda. And the one I'm tossing up between is the Suns and the Tigers. It was Suns all week for me. I don't know, with the amount of money I've invested in the Suns, I feel like I have to go with them, but I don't know. I feel like I might go with the Tigers here. Take the safe bet. It'd be five
Yeah.
dogs. If I go with the Tigers, it'd be five dogs. I went with
Mm,
five dogs last week as well, which I like to go four dogs and a favorite usually,
yeah.
which I haven't done this season at all. Um, but yeah, I'm not sure. But yeah, definitely four of those five I'll be locking in. But you can see what we end up going with on our Twitter page right before first bounce on Thursday. All right. Cuss, closing thoughts before round four.
We'll see how Thursday goes, and then yeah, see how that determines the rest of my week.
Right, well, come join us next week for all the reaction from the Carlton Collingwood game, the half a point grand final. I'm very excited for that. As a reminder, please leave a like on this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And until next time, see you later.